big, big butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny. And when a girl walks in with an itty bitty waist and a round thing in your face.
My office calling. You mean they dialed it? Well, I've got my own personal number. In a short time, we've come a long way.
One dress of the future will consist of transparent knit.
Yes, this kitchen almost gets dinner itself, but that wouldn't really be fun.
The card dialer, an electronic finger that dials for you.
Ooh, swish.
Data phone service.
An electronic correspondence machine.
Everything will be buttons of different colors that flash and they're not even labeled.
Welcome to the 2013 iMedia Next Wave Showcase, focused on data analytics and performance. This year we look at some of the most valuable new and up-and-coming companies that represent the backbone of emerging technology and innovation. Awesome, a technology revolutionizing the way companies measure social posts leading to sign-ups, purchases, and myriad other business goals. Set Media, an innovative machine learning technology that virtually watches online video frame by frame, categorizing automatically and saving brands and agencies thousands of man-hours and dollars. Sticky, a creative eye tracking technology that uses a computer's webcam to track viewers' eye movements and reducing wasted impressions. And Curiously, a technology that leverages a mobile ad infrastructure to ask questions of consumers, allowing for personalized ad serving delivered based off responses. And there you have it, your finalists for the 2013 iMedia Next Wave Showcase.
Much better, right? Great. So a little bit about how the companies got here today and how DMR and iMedia came together. So we wanted you to see startups that have already received industry validation. So at DMR, we run monthly roundtables where we bring startups to our thought leadership group of over 330 marketing executives, and they vote on startups every month. So every company you're going to see today has already received very high validation from our group. In fact, to even be considered for this event, you had to present to our group and receive high validation. So we started with 10 companies that we took to the iMedia Advisory Board. From there, they selected the 4 that you're going to see today. Attendees here, everyone, you'll be voting live. So after you see each company, you will be able to text your vote. We will show you how to do that later. And the winner will be selected tomorrow night at the closing dinner. A little bit about what we're up to at DMR, and I wanted to share with everyone here. Back on that original first slide I showed you, we've created a product to help address this. It's Industry Index, and it is a global ratings platform and index of solely focused on digital marketing technologies. So you can go in there, you can find companies that have been profiled by the products that they serve to marketers. We also have a patent pending rating methodology, so every company in there will have a score from folks that have actually worked with the technology, so we're really excited about that. And these are some of the stats to date. So we already have 883 members, 600 certified raters. We have over 1,500 ratings so far and 300 companies that have received a score. And for our presenters today, you can go in and see each of them profiled in there. So if they don't win you over today and you don't know which way you want to vote, you can certainly go in there and find out more information. So with that, the first category we looked at today, and this is kind of how it's going to run. Each company is going to have 5 minutes to make their pitch. Then we'll open up to the audience for 5 minutes of Q&A, so you can ask all those hard questions to sway you in your vote. The companies cross every single digital channel, okay? They have to be focused on data analytics and performance, but you'll see companies from social, mobile, the whole gamut. So with that, the first category you're going to see is within the space of mobile retargeting. We all know what it is and why it's important. Retargeting helps things like getting up, conversions and all that kind of good stuff, brand lift. So with that, I'm going to invite up Joe Satilla from Curiously, and we're going to start the clock. Good luck.
Hello, everybody. My name is Joe Zatilla, and I lead U.S. and global development for Curiously. Whoa, those lights are bright. Curiously has a mission, and our mission is to make mobile advertising better. And we're doing this, I need to advance, we're doing this by putting the consumer front and center. I think we would all agree that for the most part, mobile advertising is not nearly as good as it could be. The problem is that most advertising on mobile devices is simply not relevant to mobile users. At the heart of this problem is the fact that most of the data that's being used to identify consumers on mobile devices is simply not very accurate. And it's not very accurate because it's largely based on assumptions. We developed AdVox to solve this problem. And at the heart of this issue is the ability to communicate with consumers and show them ads that are relevant to their interests. The way that we solve the problem is in a beautifully simple, very human way. We ask questions. We've now given the consumer a voice in the advertising that they can see on their smartphones and tablets. In the past 2 years, we've asked over 200 million questions. And what we've learned is that consumers are willing to volunteer this vital information to us for no reason at all other than the fact that they're interested in a specific topic. What we know is that people in general like to answer questions, especially when the topic is something that relates to their specific interests. This is self-selection at its finest. The way that we communicate with consumers is by replacing typical banner ads with questions, and these questions are highly interactive. In this specific example, we're asking people if they smoke, daily, occasionally, or never. If consumers answer daily or occasionally, we could show them an ad to stop smoking. If consumers say never, we're not going to show them any ad to stop smoking. This eliminates waste for advertisers, and it makes the advertising experience a bit better for the consumer. This is a recent automotive campaign that is fairly illustrative of the type of performance that our advertisers can expect when they work with our AdVox platform. And here, we've identified nearly 250,000 people who told us that they were going to look for or buy a minivan. Over the course of the campaign, we retargeted these consumers an average of once every few days. This was one of our early efforts, and we were fairly conservative in the number of ads that we were showing consumers. Today, our average number of ads is approximately 1 per day. During the course of this campaign, we compared the opinions or the intent to test drive for consumers who answered the question, that is, they told us they were looking for a minivan, to a similar group of consumers who were on the same apps at the same time, but did not see the question and did not see the ad for our client. What we observed was an intent to test drive increase of over 4 points. When you compare this to desktop, we typically would see an increase of less than 1 point in intent to test drive on desktop. That's a pretty powerful difference right there, especially considering the fact that we're on mostly smaller devices. Another important aspect of this campaign, though happens to be a particular pet peeve of mine, is the click-through. And the click-through rates were especially high. In particular, we observed over 40% of the consumers that we identified interacting with the ads that we sent them after answering the question. If we could roll the video. So I'm going to attempt to show you a recorded demo. In the interest of saving time, we recorded actual data as it was coming in. And what we do initially is develop a question to help our clients find the right consumers. And literally within seconds, consumers start answering our questions, effectively raising their hands and saying, here I am, I'm in the market for whatever this may be. In this particular example, these consumers are eligible for a phone upgrade this month, this year, or next year. And what we're seeing here is that literally within less than a minute, we'll have over 100 people tell us, I'm eligible for a phone upgrade. We're going to fast forward a bit in a half a second or so, and I have 10 seconds remaining, and I know they're going to cut me off any moment. So we're compressing time a bit here, and what we'll do is we'll compress time to within about 15 minutes, we'll make it into about 1 minute. And the important thing to note here is that consumers who have told us that they're going to buy a phone or eligible for a phone next year are not going to see an ad. So we've disqualified consumers who are not currently relevant. These quick, I'm getting cut off. So I'll just open it up to questions now, if anyone has any questions of me.
Any questions? Now's your chance. Oh, I see one back there.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Siegel. I work at OMD. I'm curious, what % of people tend to answer that initial survey question?
Fantastic question, and the simple answer is that it really varies a great deal from question topic to question topic. So on average, we'll see answer rates anywhere between 1 and 10%. I think the example that I was showing for phone upgrades, we were looking at about a slightly better than 2% answer rate.
Any other questions?
There's one back there.
Is there? Where is it?
I'll race you to him.
Dan Kidd from Research Now. What's the economics model, or how are you billing for this? Because I'd imagine different campaigns have very different incidence rates of people that qualify for seeing ads. So when you say, 5 million impressions, how do you price that?
That's a great question. At the moment, it's essentially a flat rate per qualified consumer. So in the smoking example, we would charge the client somewhere around 50 cents per qualified consumer. Anyone who said that they don't smoke wouldn't see the ad. The client doesn't pay for that person. At some point in the near future, I think we will get sophisticated enough to make distinctions from category to category, but we're not quite there just yet.
Here we go.
Question over here.
Josh Lee from Firehouse. How large is your panel, or how are you acquiring the panelists?
Fantastic question, and I neglected to mention that, so thank you for asking me that question. We can reach over 300 million people globally and over 85 million people in the US, and those people are acquired through a combination of sources. The genesis of Curiously was an outgrowth of app development. We developed some very successful apps of our own, and we wanted to better understand our consumers. From there, we began plugging into exchanges like MoPub, Smato, NextAge, and Rubicon, and that's how we acquire people.
Any other pressing questions? Remember, we're going to ask you to vote for your favorite finalists after this, so now is your chance. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Great. Okay. Oops, sorry about that. So the next category we looked at was video ad networks, again within the data and analytics space. And with that, I would like to invite up Michael Matthew from Set Media.
How are you? And I'll start by saying we're an analytics company, not an ad network. So we're going to talk about that as well. My name is Michael Matthew. I'm from Set Media. And previously, I was the CEO of Yumi as well. So I've been in video for quite some time. And one of the challenges I always had when I talked to brand advertisers where it was, I would love to, and this is potentially heresy, I would love to buy digital video in the same way I buy television. How crazy is that, right? And partly it's because in television, you know every piece of content you're actually purchasing, right? So when you call CBS, you're not calling CBS and you say, can I be on CBS? You call them and say, I want CSI Miami, or I want March Madness. And so content is a proxy for audience as it's measured by Nielsen. So when I was at Yumi, I always felt there must be a way to combine searching for content with ad technology, and that's what brought me to Set. So if you look at some of the challenges of digital video today, is really gets down to finding the right content for your brand in the most effective way possible. So with Yumi and others, they do a terrific job, but the challenge is trying to find targeting at scale and really ultimately trying to find video, trying to match analytics with that particular video. So a lot of times people will give you a URL, but URLs might have 20, 30 videos running on that particular site. So you don't necessarily know the actual video you're running on. So my goal was to let's find a way to not only give people an idea of the URL they're running on, but the actual piece of content that their ads are running on as well. And of course, the last two challenges are pretty scary for a brand, is will my ad show up somewhere where it's not supposed to be, right? So this is where we come in. I've met these two Harvard computer scientists who are working computer vision problems. And I thought this would be great technology layered on top of online video and specifically television type buying. So what the company does is we have computer vision scientists actually download and watch every video that's commercially relevant. So we typically, the algorithm says, anytime the video is seen 10 times, let's download it and index it. And so we're using motion tracking, facial recognition. We're pretty good at facial recognition, actually. We typically have built detectors for the top 100 celebrities, the top 100 sports stars. So if you're a brand that needs to find Lionel Messi and I want my message in front of every video that he's available on, we can actually find that video. So computer vision is our first piece of technology. We also download the audio and we do speech to text. We actually do natural language processing. So to the extent that that particular site has text around the video, we ingest that as well. And lastly, we want to tell everyone the aboutness of that video, which is the length, the size, is it the high definition, where is it located on the page. So ultimately, we have a database. Think of it as the biggest video search engine on the planet that meets ad technology. So I'm going to show you a quick demo. Now the challenge is we hired a professional to voice over. So we're not going to have the voice, we're going to have mine. I'm going to try to keep up with her, actually. So why don't you roll the video of the demo. So here's our interface. The first piece is actually global filters. So we can see if it's high definition. We then can find sports. So type in sports, it will show all the sports videos. You can actually filter out lower level sports videos. Let's say you want NBA. You can type in NBA, you'll find NBA content. And lastly, let's find LeBron James. You click on it, you can actually find specific videos on LeBron James. And let's make sure that you want videos that are brand safe as well. So that's building the forecasting engine. The next piece is actually, see, what did I say? She's fast. So let's go back. So here's the interface for the analytics. We can actually show you kind of top-level analytics. Ultimately, IAB category is what you've purchased. And then more importantly, the video you actually purchased. You can click on the video and actually see information on that particular video. Completion rates, you can actually click on the URL and see where the URL was. We actually take a screenshot of the location. And you can actually play the video as well if you want. So I think that's all. So you can ixnay the video. And we can't get the great performance and brand uplift studies we've done.
Does anyone have a question about their
someone
brand
could ask
lift?
about them.
Yeah, someone have a question
We'll
about their
leave this
brand
up,
lift and performance? Here you go.
My name is Jen Favada, and I'm from Earthlink. Can you tell me about the brand performance and uplift you've done?
Earthlink. Wow. You know, one of my first jobs was at Net Zero. Free internet forever. It was great. So what was the question again? I'm sorry.
She said, tell us about the brand lift and performance.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. So one of the things we found in doing content and context-specific targeting is in almost every metric, if you match your brand with that content, you get better. We did Visu studies, so we showed better brand uplift. And more importantly, the video completion rate on using our tech is in the 85 to 90% rate. The industry average is around 68. So if you actually target content that makes sense for your brand, a lot of the metrics do work. So Red Bull, if you find videos that tie into action sports or you sponsor a Tony Hawk video, that completion rate will be higher because that user is more likely to watch the whole ad to watch that Tony Hawk video. So we've seen much better performance using our tech versus others.
Hey, Mark Silva with Kite, and the problem you're solving is huge. It's the visual search is perplexing enough that Google hasn't perfected it. So it's a huge problem, but you started off by saying you're an analytics company, not an ad network.
Correct.
Video ad network. Are you saying you're not monetizing as a video ad network?
I'm trying
to understand the model. I get the technologies analysis, right?
Yeah, so we currently have two models. The first model is to drive demand. So if you're using AdaptTV, Yumi, or any other guys, you can actually layer out technology on top of that and get data back from those ad networks to see the exact video you've actually run. But one of the challenges I had coming into the marketplace is really generating demand for this. And so when I went to the sales team and said, listen, sell content-based targeting, they had a challenge doing it. So we built, my VP sales is there, and he's the head of my SEAL Team 6. So we have a small sales team that can actually drive demand, meet marketing folks to talk about content-based targeting, and we can actually make the buy ourselves. But I would rather have folks use the current tools they're using and just use us as a visibility analytics engine. That's ultimately what I want.
Hi, this is Evan Wayne with Sociomantic. Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Hey. You said after about 10 times you see the video, then you download it and then start to analyze it.
Mm-hmm.
So, from a kind of proactive versus reactive approach for brand safety, how do you, with client side, one error and then it's kind of off to the races at the point?
If we're in the ad decisioning section and somebody asks us about that video and we've never downloaded before, we actually say don't run an ad there. And at the same time, we will ingest that video and actually put it in our database. So we will say no if we've never seen that video before, but we will ingest it and index it and get it in our database right away. But we do try to have all the trending videos. Videos actually are most likely to be seen. We want to be able to decision against those videos.
Quick question to the earlier one. I'm a little confused. Is it a CPM overlay when you want to be the mediation layer to provide the data? What is the actual cost?
It's a flat monthly fee.
Okay.
And we can absolutely discuss that with you guys.
Any last questions? All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Area of analytics we looked at was social media analytics, which we know has been a very much of a long-time pain point for marketers. So with that, I would like to invite up Fred McIntyre with Awesome.
Hi, so my name is Fred McIntyre. I am the CEO of Awesome, and what we do is we do social media ROI. And I'll talk a little bit about what that means and how it works and why it's important, but I'm going to start by talking about the market. So I think people look at slides like this pretty much all day, every day, but the fact of the matter is in social, the amount of money that's moving into the market is phenomenal. It's going to be over 20% of the digital budget by 2017, and as we see more and more money move into the market, it's only logical that you're going to have to hold that money to account. You're really going to have to measure the performance of that investment in ways that you can look at on par with your search investment, your performance investments, television, what have you. And what's clear when you get feedback from CMOs and you get feedback from the leaders in the industry is that measurement's just not there. So somewhere on the order of 85% of social campaigns today, the only measures for success that are in those campaigns are things like likes or followers or just simple participation. There's only about 15% of the market that's actually trying to understand ROI and performance when they do a social campaign. And when they do, typically the way they'll try and calculate that value looks something like this. You essentially pull a bunch of data down from different sources. So you may pull social data down from the social channel. In this example, it's Twitter. You may pull click data from another source. Maybe it's your social workflow tool like Adobe Social or Hootsuite, or in this example, it's Bitly. And then you may pull conversion data from another source. Maybe it's Google Analytics. Maybe it's Omniture. And then what you have to do is you have to line all that data up, and you have to make some assumptions about how it fits together and why it's important. So you have to do correlation. Fundamentally, when you do that, you miss a lot of the activity. You can't do adjustments in real time, and you end up with information that's inaccurate. What Awesome has is a closed-loop system. So effectively, we can connect directly at the point that the share is created, whether that's a share button on a page or a post going out into a social network. We generate a unique tracking link for every specific share, whether that's an outbound social post or a user share. And then using JavaScript or a tracking pixel, we do conversion tracking on the destination site. Once you're able to do this, you're able to see your whole funnel from top to bottom. And that's one of the things that's really missing in social analytics today. Most of the activity in social analytics tends to be up at the top of the funnel around reach and reactions. We track all the way down to specific conversions and ROI. Once you do that, you can start to do some really powerful things. So you can track conversions. So in this example, we're tracking audience engagement conversions. We're also tracking transactional follow-ups. Another thing that we're able to do is address bar tracking. You can use our capabilities in paid media if you're putting share buttons into paid media. You can use us in outbound social posts and use us as a way to optimize the performance of those posts and then to understand the conversions driven by each specific post. We can help you track generations of sharing. So I'll give you a couple of examples here in a second that'll bring that to life for you. Here's an example of the level of granularity and data that we can show on an individual post. Additionally, we can help you tease out who the influencers are in your audience. Who are the people who interact with your outbound social posts with the highest degree of frequency? Which of those users have the most reach? We can help you look at that on a trended basis over time so that you can optimize. And we can also help you look at it at the level of an individual destination page or content page so that you can see where you're getting traffic from multiple channels. So in this example, you'll see that we're measuring traffic coming in from Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter. And then we can help you pull all this together in ways that you can use in real time to optimize the work that you're doing. So I'm going to show you an example of what it is we can help you understand. I'm going to give you a story about a specific social post. So this is part of a campaign that happened last year for a direct-to-fan movie release called The Bones Brigade. This is a post that went out on Facebook. A guy named Stacy Peralta did it. If you're using Facebook Insights, that post got 19 clicks, drove 0 conversions. What we know, because he used an awesome tracking link, is a lot more than that. So we know that that post drove people back to the site. That site had awesome sharing buttons on it. So first, we're able to see 112, and then 237, and then 1,789. Ultimately, we know that that post drove nearly 3,600 clicks, drove nearly $8,700 in sales, and generated 136 shares. If you're in an agency or if you're at a client and you're creating social strategy and campaigns for your clients, you're not getting credit for the work that you're doing. And that's the problem that we help you solve. So, great.
All right, on time. Fantastic. We have a question right here in the front.
Sure.
George Potts from Bruner.
Hey, George.
What's the pricing structure?
I'm happy to talk about that offline. We've got essentially 2 models. So for the earned media tracking that we do on our destination sites, like if we're doing share buttons or if we're integrating into paid media campaigns, CPM-based model. It's very efficient, runs from basically 2 cents up to 19 cents, calculated off of page views or impressions. For the Awesome for Marketers product that we launched in July, which is essentially a set of tools for social media managers. It's $500 for the first social media account that you sign up, but those costs don't scale linearly. So, for example, if you're managing a portfolio of accounts for a brand, and let's say you have 7, your monthly cost is still going to be under $1,000.
Quick question. If you could speak a little bit to your retail attribution, how you're doing it, and is it both E&M commerce and actual terrestrial retail?
Yeah, so the easiest way to think about it is it's last mile attribution. So effectively, we are tracking from the click that a user does in a social post or in a social share down to the destination website. So we will give you the most accurate data about that last mile. And I would take the point of view that if you're doing multi-channel attribution or things like that, the quality of the work that you get out of that multi-channel attribution is only going to be as good as the data that you're putting into it. And as far as social is concerned, our approach is the best approach to help you understand that last mile conversion. Does that answer your question?
It does. Is it actual POS integrated, or it stops before that?
What we're talking about is JavaScript or tracking pixel on the destination site tied directly to the defined conversion goals that the customer puts there. So this could be purchases. BMW puts this into a car configurator, so they track how many people go to the car configurator, configure a car, do a dealer search, schedule a test drive, those things. And then they have their own attribution logic that they use beyond that. Does that make sense? Yep.
Josh Lee from Firehouse. How does it compare to a product like Add This and what they do?
Well, fundamentally, we're built to measure both outbound social media activity as well as, so the work that a social media manager does. You can also use this to do share buttons on your sites or in your paid media. So Add This and Share This typically are more focused on share buttons on publisher sites. So that's one point of difference. Another point of difference is we have our system, in addition to spanning those channels, the data that we deal with belongs to the customer. So there's no other use for the data. And that's a big difference from, say, a post or a Share This or an Add This who essentially use that data for other purposes. Does that answer your question?
Hi, Peter Platt from P Square Digital.
Yep.
How are you doing on tracking mobile activity as well?
So for anything that happens within, say, web pages or within apps that use our APIs, we can do tracking. It works just as well as it does on the web. If you're looking for tracking other types of conversions, we suffer with the same limitations that anybody who's using cookies suffers with from mobile.
Time for one more question if there is one. All right.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks.
Okay. So the final category today is analytics tools and campaign optimization, especially around the topic of viewability. And with that, I would like to invite up Jeff Bandorf with Sticky.
Hello, everybody. Just imagine if all of your branding advertising on any kind of digital channel, if you knew, was it actually seen and for how long? And that's what Sticky is. We go way beyond viewability. Our clients call us viewability on steroids. And as we know, when you're selling direct response, you measure clicks and sales. But when you're doing branding, it's very difficult to know. No one right now is buying a Coke online. And there are certain things for branding. Most of the money is offline. We think our solution is going to change that dramatically. The average person is seeing 1,700 plus ads a month, the average consumer. Out of those ads, this was a ComScore number, 46% have any potential to be seen for a variety of reasons, which means 54% have no potential to be seen. And that's why the industry is talking about viewable. Of the viewable ads, which are in screen, that doesn't mean they're seen. On average, and there are the variations of creative and content, 49% of the viewable ads are seen. And we can tell you exactly which ones those are, plus how long they're looked at. This is a good example. The truth is that in-screen is not seen. Here's an in-screen ad. It's viewable. And with our Sticky technology, which I'll get into shortly, no one looked at this ad. They looked at Ms. Merkel and a few other things. And how we became sticky. We started out as a market research company very briefly. I used to work with a neuroscience company that Nielsen bought in March of 2011. It's a company out of Sweden called Tobii, T-O-B-I-I, and they created eye tracking for paralyzed people to talk with their eyes. They started selling their hardware, and they realized in 2009 to scale and to make eye tracking affordable, it has to be done through a webcam. So they funded our company. In fact, Intel made a big investment in Tobii a little over a year ago after looking at us, because at the time Tobii owned 90% of us. Now they own 48%. One of our biggest clients, we were doing market research at first. We had a different name, Eye Track Shop. And P&G, who is our biggest client, said, can you tell us which one of our branding ads are seen and not seen? And we said, yeah, we can do that. And they said, well, that'll tell us what our sticky ads are. Hence, we rebrand ourselves to Sticky. We do a lot of interesting work with them. We just did a campaign recently for Pantene, for women 25 to 49. And this is a little bit of those, some of you people are familiar with eye tracking. We tell people exactly what people see, and obviously what they don't see. We can also say what percentage of people actually see the different parts, whether it's on the ad or on the site, and how many seconds. My secretary did change the information on this. She didn't like how it came out. And then we actually tell, which is really important, is what order. You have an ad on any kind of channel, you want to make sure your ad is seen sooner than later. So these are data points that you can't get anywhere. You can't ask these kind of questions. We put everything in a real simple matrix. We have a dashboard, real simple. The left column is cost to be seen, CPV, cost to be viewed. Low to high. The top is impact, which is how much time they spent looking at your ad. Obviously, if they spend a lot of money and not much time, you really should know about it. This particular campaign shows the percentage of the ad buy. So almost 50% of this ad buy was not working. Repositioning the ads over. Here's a L'Oreal. They ran on these two sites. Same creative. They found out, and it's kind of hard to see, but the darker area over shows 77% people saw the panorama ad, the same ad, same site, same demos, half the time. They repositioned, and 38% more people saw the ad, and they spent 68% more time looking at the brand. Potential to be seen is not seen. You can optimize branding campaigns on the return of ad seen, get ROI on your branding to measure. What we're finding also is agencies are now able to negotiate with publishers with facts. Stop wasting money on ads that are invisible, no one sees. More brand lift, and performance gains vary dramatically from 25 to 85%. And I have 27 seconds left.
Questions? Oh, see one?
Oh, okay.
I'm Jeremy Ozen from Vistar Media. How do the consumers opt in, or if
I can't tell you that. No, we're not the NSA. It's an opt-in. We first started out using panels, where we're targeting through panel companies, and then we have a browser extension where people on panels have agreed to download, and then we know we have the demographic, age, and all the other information on them, and we target them based on the campaign that wants to be. It's all opt-in. Most people don't know how to turn on a webcam. So that's the question we ask. This is an eye tracking study, and they click to say yes. They say, can we turn on your webcam? And then we start tracking. Does that answer? Any other questions?
Oh, got one back here.
I'm Miranda from AKQA. Just wondering how big the panel is.
We work with a number of panel companies. Right now in the US, there's about 6 million that are able to opt in. Globally, it's 14 and growing. The one thing I will point out that's interesting, we have publishers now who are using us to test their key high-price CPM ad units versus competitors, and it's pretty interesting what they're learning. The ones who are doing well go to the brands and show it, And then actually we had a few increased CPMs, and then the ones who don't do well, the smart ones figure out what they can do better. They don't show that to the brand.
Hey, Eric Franchi from Undertone. Are you MRC accredited yet?
Not yet. We're in the process. It's about a year and a half process. Is there a question back there? Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. So let's give a big round of applause to all of the presenters today. It was great just to be able to make it here. So now is the time for voting. You have until tomorrow to text your vote. You can only vote once. This is an American Idol, so you got to pick the one that you like the best. You have until tomorrow. Again, if you need, these guys are around if you have any additional questions for them. And we will be announcing the winner tomorrow night at the closing dinner. So thank you so much to iMedia for letting us partner with you on this, and good luck to all the finalists. Thank you.